Wagons are slowly starting to come back, and as we all can see, most companies are jumping onto them. Mercedes have been doing it for a long time. Audi still have the RS6 as a wagon model for this long. And yes, as we all know, companies such as Genesis are also taking a step into it as well. And today, that is what we'll be doing. We'll be looking at why wagons are cool and why they are the best to buy over SUVs. And yes, we'll be checking the coolest wagons as well. Who don't know, wagons have been here since probably BC. Well, they started being more popular in the 1950s to the 1970s. Well, when America started actually pushing forwards to making more wagons, because back then SUVs and minivans weren't actually existing. So wagons was the best options, including from private securities to also presidents moving in wagons to also mayors and governors and many more. Wagons were the best option. And well, some countries actually started jumping into them later, such as Germany and many more, but America fully focused on making wagons. Cadillac, GMC Motors and Ford made sure that wagons were the coolest things, including their concepts as well, which looked absolutely mind-blowing. But after the 1973 oil crisis, wagons started falling apart. Well, when I mean fall apart, they started becoming unpopular because that is when the oil crisis was released. And well, people started scrambling, such as companies such as Ford and GMC Motors and many more. They started going for other alternatives which were cheaper and easier for people to carry, which were minivans and SUVs. That is why today we see many SUVs and minivans being made, because well, they were the best option to have back then, because well, they were cheaper and easier to run as well. But now SUVs have become such a big thing where companies started making shit versions of them. For example, I know many people are gonna hate me for this, but I do not get why Cadillac made a V Blackwing version of the Escalade. If an Escalade is a 7-seater SUV that is supposed to be comfortable, why does it have to have 700 horsepower? For me, that doesn't make sense. And well, besides Cadillac, Range Rover with the SVR as well, I don't get it. The X5M, the X6M and many more. These fast SUVs don't really make sense, because well, an SUV is supposed to be practical, go off-roading and be able to carry most important things. But now, in the newer age, I think wagons are starting to become much more better of an alternative compared to a SUV. And that is why we see companies such as Audi, Mercedes and BMW still offered them even in the early 2016s. For example, the W204 Mercedes C63 came as a wagon as well. They even gave the E55 Mercedes version a wagon as well. And besides that, even companies such as Audi still made the RS2 as a wagon, and also you could get the S2 as a wagon as well, and the RS6 as well came as a wagon. So many people offered, or let me say many companies offered that, because many people still wanted wagons. And well, now in the modern day world, they're starting to become the best alternative to have. For example, Audi, the C7. Well, if you don't know what the C7 stands for, it stands for 7th generation, such as Corvette also calls some of their models C8, C6, C7, C5 as well, because they're the generations of the models. Well, the C7 Audi RS6 is the best model out of them all. I don't give a fuck if anyone says the C8 is the best, because the C7 absolutely demolishes the C8 when it comes to look. It only looks way better if you choose the right fucking color, not going for pink and purple like some idiot. They look absolutely gangster in black and nardo gray and many more cool colors that you could offer, which I'll put on the screen as well. And one thing I love about the C7 is that they look so cool. You have a 4-liter twin turbo V8 with 552 horsepower and 700 newton meters of torque, which is insane for that time when it came out. And the best part about it, it came with an 8-speed Tiptronic automatic and had a top speed of 155 miles an hour. Well, these things are not going anywhere. I wouldn't say they are expensive, but I wouldn't also say they are a bargain, because they still range. I'm talking about the greatest model you can get. Let me say, when I mean great, I mean the best condition one, not a co-part one where it's well mashed into something like a barrier or something. I'm talking about one that has been well looked after, maintenance looks good as well. You're looking at around $40,000 to $90,000, which for me personally is quite more of a steal and deal compared to its Audi 8th generation version, which is the C8, which the C8 still has the same engine, which is a 4-liter twin turbo V8, but it pushes 600 horsepower and 800 Nm newton meters of torque, and now you can get a performance package of it with 850 newton meters of torque, so a 50 newton meter added to it. Still has the same 8-speed Tiptronic automatic, but has a 0 to 100 kilometer time of 3.4 seconds. And these bastards, brand new, came out at $130,000 as a base model. I have no idea how, but now they have started to decline in prices to $70,000. So if you bought them back then, yeah, your investment plan wasn't making sense. But either way, I still believe that the C7 is the best option. I know many people would say, oh, the C8 is quicker and everything else, it sounds great and everything. Yes, but the C7 looked very gangster. It looked like a wagon. It was long and had wide arches and had the angriest front end that you could ever see and the meanest rear end that you could ever see. The inside was simple. It didn't have touch screens in the passenger seat and all this nonsense. It didn't have a lot of screens compared to the C8. But if Audi is not your taste, you can go to the best company out of them all, which is Bavarian Motor Works, which is BMW in simple terms. Well, BMW still offer until today a wagon version of the M5. Well, the one particularly that I'm going to speak about is the newer one, which has still the same 4.4 liter twin turbo V8, which you got in all of the M5s besides the V10 version, which now it has electric motors pushing it to 727 horsepower and 1000 newton meters of torque. You could also get a M package version of it, which also has a different top speed compared to the normal one. Well, the normal top speed of it is 250 kilometers, but if you have the M package, like I said, it pushes to 305 kilometers an hour, which I have no idea where you're going to be going with that besides the Autobahn. But it also came with MX drive, such as, well, I would say the MX drive is the competitor for the Quattro. It is as good as the Quattro. I know many people don't want to accept it, but it's the truth. The X drive is as good as the Quattro is. Frankly, the Quattro can do a lot of good things on snow, but the X drive is also as good as it is probably on snow as well. But one thing that made the the M5 very cool is that the M5, well, you could get a sedan and also a wagon now. So, which means the prices are going to shoot up. Well, the base sedan version of it starts at $119,000 and moves up to $121,000 if you add the extras and everything. Well, the wagon starts off at $138,000 without any options added to it and moves up to $141,000 if you have a fully loaded spec one, which is the bucket seats and many more stuff. But is it really worth buying it that much for that kind of price? Well, technically for me, I am going to be the one to say it. I don't like the looks of the new M5. I know many people are going to say, oh, it looks nice, or oh, it looks so cool. I genuinely don't like the looks of it. And the wagon looks worse. It looks worse. It makes the G80 M3 Touring look way better, which the G80 Touring is, quite frankly, a pretty looking rear end that it has. The front end, I still hate it. It looks horrible. But I love that the rear arches and the front arches of the G80 M3 and the M5 are widened to make it look much more stancy. And speaking of the G80 M3 Touring, unfortunately, if you're American, you know that you guys didn't get this. Yes, for many people who don't know, Americans didn't get the M3 Touring. Like us South Africans and British and also Europeans and other parts of the world got it. But unfortunately, it's not as pretty looking as it would be, as you would expect a M3 to look like, because, well, the front end has that ugly kidney grow of it, which looks absolutely horrendous. But we open the bonnet, it has the best engine that you can get, which is a 3-liter twin power inline 6 with 530 horsepower from the competition package and 550 horsepower from the CS variant. And yes, it comes with MX drive and an 8-speed automatic and a 0 to 100 time of 3.5 seconds in the CS model and a 3.6 seconds in the competition package. It gets a lot of cool stuff such as dynamic chassis tuning and bucket seats. And while the wagon, like I said, is not available in America, but the base wagon starts off at $100,000 to $130,000, which is insanity if you ask me as well. But I still think the front end needs to be done a little bit of work. But BMW has announced that the new M3 will be coming and it will still have the same engine, but you'll also be getting a electric variant of the M3. But we all know that's not going to work out at all. But besides that, you can also opt for something that is way cooler than it is, which is Genesis. Yes, if you don't know Genesis is, well, how can I put it? Genesis is one of the coolest companies when it comes to luxurious stuff. Well, if you don't know, one of Genesis SUVs actually once saved a, well, famous golfer called Tiger Woods in a car crash. And, well, he walked out with no scars and nothing else. So Genesis is pretty well known for being safe and also very comfortable stuff as well added to it, such as nice comforting seats, massaging seats, and many more. But Genesis has recently unveiled something cool called the wingback concept. Not only does it look fucking stunning, but it is menacing as hell. Not only did Genesis make sure that they made it cool, but also made sure that the performance figures match to the looks as well. Well, Genesis has a company called Magma, which is like Mercedes having AMG, which Magma tunes and makes their, well, I would say their normal cars look absolutely insane. Well, this wingback has a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 with a 48 volt supercharger thingy, which is like an electric motor, with 409 horsepower and 549 newton meters of torque coming from it, and an 8-speed automatic. And, well, besides all the statistics, the rear arches are 22 inches wide for it to match the alloys as well, which is so cool as well. And one thing that you get from this cool car, which is one of the coolest things that I've ever seen, is the front end, and the rear end and the side profile of this car looks super cool. I know many people are gonna say, oh, it's a shooting brake, this and that, but technically it does look more like a wagon than it looks more like a shooting brake. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong in any sense of way. But I think this is one of, well, the coolest wagons that you can get in the modern day world. Yes, I know most of the cars that I've named here are from the newer, well, I would say from a newer perspective, but you can still go to, well, the second-hand market, which you can get an RS2, which they're going for damn cheap prices now. You can also get an RS4 wagon, and also you can get a RS6 wagon for cheaper prices. The C5 are also still going for cheaper prices, the RS6 wagon, which they have a V10. And we all know changing the oil is the engine out, changing the fan is the engine out, spark plugs, engine out, changing the wheel, engine out, lights, engine out job. So everything that you do there is an engine out job. But besides that, I still think that wagons are the coolest things to ever come out of the modern day world. I still believe that there's more too many companies can do, like Mercedes, for example. The C63 might be coming back with a V8. We're not sure, just rumors. But as we all know, the W204 is the best Mercedes that you could get. I know many people will go for the later generation of it, but I still think the W204 is the best out of them all. But tell me in the comments below what you guys think about wagons. I personally, I think wagons are the best option for me. If I want something to go off-roading, obviously you buy an SUV, buy a Range Rover or something. But if you want something to daily, wagons are the best option out of them all.